Жартую. Так, доброго дня ще раз. Вас вітає бібліотека КПІ. Ми раді вас запросити і долучитися до вебінару «Індексація збірників конференцій у Scopus. Вимоги, стандарти наукової якості». Сьогодні спікером нашого вебінару буде представник компанії Elsevier, пан Кейн Гью. Він спочатку у нас наступний регламент роботи. Спочатку він представить свою доповідь. Це буде відеозапис презентації з українськими субтитрами. Після цього ви зможете задати запитання, які вас будуть цікавити. Я допоможу, у кого буде проблема з англійською, чи буде хтось не впевнений, я вам допоможу перекласти на англійську та допоможу перекласти пана Гью з англійської мови, але буду просити робити якісь логічні паузи, якщо дуже буде велике запитання, довге, тривале, тому що я саме не синхроніст. Також, якщо почнеться тривога, не панікуємо і не переживаємо. Це буде розіслано усім, хто зареєструвався на почту, яку ви вказували, буде надіслано як і запис сьогоднішньої зустрічі, так і сама презентація пана Гью. Тому в будь-якому випадку це все буде надіслано, але у випадку тривоги, тим паче це буде надіслано. Тому, будь ласка, будь-які питання, знову ж таки, якщо будуть запитання у вас, я зараз у чаті напишу для всіх почту для питань та пропозицій на наступний раз, або, можливо, питання, ви згадаєте потім після зустрічі питання, яке ви захочете задати. Пропозиції щодо наступних семінарів також надішлю в наш почту для цих запитань, я надішлю в наш чат, тому розпочинаємо. Будь ласка, містер Гью, the floor is yours. So could you please present yourself and you can start your presentation. And after presentation in the Q&A session, I will be your interpreter.
Thank you, Sophia. Nice to meet you, everyone. My name is Ken, and I'm the product manager overseeing the conference collection. So the conference content from elsewhere, including the conference content in Scopus, is something I oversee. And it's a great honor to have this opportunity to talk about conference selection criteria for Scopus. So as you can see, I have a limited language skill in Ukrainian, so it's great to have Sophia and Maria, our strategy director from STMJ department, to help me with this presentation. And so my presentation was originally prepared in English, but this in order to help understand that in Ukrainian, we prepared a video with the subtitles in Ukrainian, so that we can save time to have more time for Q&A session. Maria, would you mind play your video so that we can start the session?
Yeah, of course. Thank you very much, Kane. Дякую, Кейн. Я зараз пошарю свій екран, і ви подивитесь відео у мене. Я, як чуєте, трохи українською розмовляю, але англійською теж. Буду просто відео зараз показувати. Давайте. Так. Share. Все. Так, можете сказати, хтось бачить? Do people see my video?
Так, Марія, yes.
Бачите?
Yes. Yeah,
Great.
we're here.
Дякую. Давайте. Не так.
Maria, it looks like there's no sound.
Марія, є переклад, є картинка, але немає звуку.
Ага. Дякую. Зараз буде. Так, зараз я... Ага, вже бачу. Так, ще раз.
Hello, my name is Kane. I am the product manager for conferences collection and the engineering collection. I oversee the conferences content within Scopus. Today, I would like to share the Scopus content selection criteria for conference content. To start with, let's quickly go over what is Scopus. Scopus is a comprehensive abstracts and citation database for impact makers. It is designed to track research performance of researchers, identify top experts, and gain strategic insights with metrics and analytical tools. To support the purposes, Scopus covers all subject areas, and the content type ranges from journals, conference proceedings, books, and preprints. So far, Scopus has covered over 100 million records from more than 30,000 active journals, over 172,000 conference events, and 461,000 standalone books from over 7,000 publishers in 105 countries. Scopus data are updated daily, with about 13,000 records added on a daily basis. There are 25.8 million open access documents, 2.6 million preprint records, 13.2 million conference papers, and 3.97 million book items focusing on social sciences and as well as arts and humanities. The covered journals are from physical sciences, health sciences, social sciences, and life sciences. The metrics used by Scopus is called the site score. It uses a simple formula for calculation, which is the citations from past 4 years divided by the total article output from the past 4 years. Site score metrics are completely transparent. It is used to further analyze the underlying documents in Scopus, and it is available for free on scopus.com. Site score is calculated based on data from articles, reviews, conference papers, data papers, and book chapters, and it is for serial publications actively covered in Scopus, including journals and book series. As of March this year, Scopus data achieved its 100 millionth item, and now it has over 103 million items covered in Scopus. And the Scopus data are widely used to support the research community globally. Scopus covers a lot of content, so you may wonder how the content is selected. For the content selection, we have a Content Selection Advisory Board consisting of independent subject experts from respective domains. This is the picture taken when we, the Elsewhere team, met CSAB subject chairs last time in Finland. There are 17 subject chairs. They were chosen for their expertise in respective subject areas, such as computer science, material science and engineering, medicine, mathematics, agriculture, neuroscience, social science, and so on. Most of them have experience as an editor. They use rigorous and transparent quality and ethics selection criteria to evaluate potential titles for coverage in Scopus. Even after publication is accepted for coverage in Scopus, the content is actively monitored and regularly re-evaluated. If the content no longer meets the content selection criteria, the concerned publication is discontinued for coverage in Scopus. Today's topic is the conference, so I would like to continue with the selection process for conference content. As many of you are already aware, conference publications are one of the essential publication vehicles for researchers. Researchers use conferences as a dominant way of sharing new insights, especially in applied natural sciences, as it is quicker than getting into journals, and the researchers can receive feedback much faster. By attending and presenting their research works, researchers can enhance their visibility, seek collaboration, and further identify commercial opportunities. Currently, conference content makes up over 20% of Scopus data. To be considered for coverage in Scopus, all publications need to be suggested via our title suggestion forms. For conferences, we ask the suggester to suggest the conference proceedings or book series. After submission of the form, the suggested publication is validated based on technical criteria and further evaluated by the CSAB subject chairs according to the selection criteria. Once a decision is made, a decision letter will be emailed to the suggester. Normally, only suggestions for serial publication can be made via the Scopus title suggestion form, which you can see here. But it is if this is non-serial proceedings from engineering domain, the conference proceedings can be suggested via the EI title suggestion form here. When the suggested non-serial proceedings are accepted, Scopus will cover the accepted non-serial proceedings as well. Our content selection criteria consist of two parts: technical criteria and the selection criteria. Here is the technical criteria to validate the suggested publications. The publication should have a valid registered ISSN or EISSN. If it is a non-serial publication, only ISBN is required. Peer review should be performed and stated clearly at the publication's homepage. Only full-text papers with original English abstracts are reviewed. Abstract papers, poster papers are not considered for coverage in Scopus. The content should be accessible online. The homepage should present publication ethics statement and the digital preservation policy clearly. These are the sample of abstract paper on the left and the poster paper on the right. As you can see, abstract paper only has title, author, affiliation, abstract, and the reference. There is no main text. On the other hand, poster paper often comes with figures and tables, but still there is no main text either. After validation, the suggested publication is reviewed according to the following 18 quantitative and qualitative selection criteria. There are 5 categories: conference policy, conference organization, quality of content, conference standing, and online availability. For conference policy, it is required to demonstrate convincing and focused scope of the conference event. The peer review policy should be transparent and clearly stated on the homepage. The geographic distribution of technical and program committee members, as well as the authors, should be checked. For conference organization, the partners and the sponsors should be disclosed. There should be transparent guidelines and instructions for authors. And the fee structure should be clarified so that the attendees can understand how much will be charged. In terms of content quality, technical, scientific, and written quality is assessed. Of course, at the article level, each paper will be checked. The content should make a clear academic contribution to the related research field. The articles should be readable by the audience. The content should demonstrate conformity with the stated aims and the scope. The paper should be presenting quality, originality, and authenticity, not something plagiarized. For conference standing, not only the conference event itself, but also the reputation and the standing of the technical and the program committee members are evaluated. Last but not least, online availability. There should be digital preservation policies and practices. The conference homepage should have a high-quality English language version for international attendees to understand what it is about. DOI should be assigned to each paper because we need to use DOI to generate full text link so that our users can access the original paper for full text content. For publication ethics statements, our requirements are listed here. There should be policies to cover authorship, contributorship, data sharing, corrections, and many other potential concerns and malpractice. The policies should clarify how the publication will handle complaints, appeals, and the allegation of research misconduct. Recently, we announced the generative AI policies to encourage publications to handle the use of AI and AI-assisted technologies in scientific writing. These policies were originally developed for journals, but they are now extended to serial and non-serial publications in general. You can visit the web links listed here for more details. There are a few things we need to clarify. Scopus is committed to creating a representative, curated dataset of scholarly content. The selection is based on publication-level data and performance. The covered publications are actively monitored, and the publications that are predatory or below standards are deselected. On the other hand, Scopus cannot interfere with the editorial autonomy of publications. Therefore, we expect the editorial board of each publication to make decisions to maintain quality of the individual articles and the conferences. And the publication malpractice, such as plagiarism, should be handled properly. To help understand what kind of conference publications are selected, I would like to share some typical examples. SIGGRAPH, SIGGRAPH, the example shown here is a conference focusing on computer graphics and interactive techniques. The proceedings were selected for coverage in Scopus. The proceeding is published by ACM, a publisher, and the ACM has a clear homepage for this publication. It is a non-serial publication, so there is no ISSN or EISSN, but the ISBN is listed here. ACM lists clear policies, including peer review policy, a series of publication policies and procedures which help authors to follow for healthy publication practice. So these policies are not hidden somewhere. It's posted on the homepage in a clear place so that the authors can view and download. This publication meets all the technical criteria, and hence it was sent to the CSAB subject chair for evaluation according to the content selection criteria. Let's check its conference policy. On the conference homepage, the scope and the focus areas are stated. Peer review policy is presented. and the authors are coming from more than 20 countries. Although quite a lot of authors are from United States and China, but the overall distribution of origin countries are quite broad and relatively uniform, which reflects its contribution to international research community. And this is clearly supports their conference policy. Regarding the conference organization, the conference homepage discloses its sponsors at different levels. And there are very detailed guidelines for authors, including the instruction about fee structure and the schedule. If we look at the content, it isn't difficult to find that the article, title, abstract, and the main text are written concisely but clearly. The texts are well organized, no obvious grammatical problems, easy to read, and the topics are aligned with the stated aims and the scope. The article shows originality, and the article level citation count, download statistics reflect its contribution to the related research field. For conference standing, the background of technical and the program committee members are assessed. From Scopus author profile, we can find these people, and from the profile, we can see that the research performance of the program committee members who are in general have strong research background in respective domains. The conference also has a clear English language homepage for international audience to visit. Each of the conference paper is available for online access, and each paper is assigned with DOI for full text link, so the users can always find the right paper and access the publisher site for full text content. Let's take a look at the proceedings that were not accepted for coverage. This is a conference proceedings for a so-called international conference. Although it's stated international conference, we can see that the authors are almost all authors are from a single country. And the abstract reads something like, the car is on left and the right wheels independently driven, which grammatically doesn't really make sense. So this actually poses questions to its so-called internationality. Another publication claims to promote research and developmental activities in chemical, material, and food engineering. But the published papers are something like application of ArcGIS in the evaluation of land-intensive use, design and implementation of intelligent property, traffic states detection based on block matching, using the net present value rule to make value-creating investment decisions, an IPv6 based application layer protocol for wireless sensor networks, correlation and stability study of centrality in social network, how negative space in shopping websites influences users' purchase behavior. Are these ready from chemical, material, and food engineering, and further it makes contributions or promotions? I'm sure everyone here has a clear answer to that. Through title evaluation process, publications are selected for coverage in Scopus, and the content will be processed and appear in Scopus. But this is not the end of the story. The publications being covered in Scopus are actively monitored. Any publications with outlier performance and publication concerns are flagged for re-evaluation by the CSAB subject chairs. Last year, 105 publications were flagged for re-evaluation by CSAB subject chairs, and 62 publications were discontinued for coverage in Scopus because they were found no longer meeting the content selection criteria. So far, a total of over 893 publications has been discontinued, which is about 60% of the flagged publications. In some cases, legal actions were taken against the paper mills involved in the publication malpractice. In some cases, a publication, especially those already accepted for coverage in Scopus, those publications may have changes such as publisher change, changing publication title name, changing ISSN, EISSN, or other information. And for such publication change, we follow our publication change policy. In order to maintain our high quality standards, the changes to the publications are carefully monitored and the legitimacy of the public change request is validated. There is no guarantee that the publication will remain selected for coverage in Scopus after the change, and this is subject to continued discretional review by the CSAB subject chairs. Publications that have undergone significant change will be considered as a new publication, and it may be submitted for Scopus review through the regular title suggestion and the title evaluation process with our content selection criteria. Okay, so that's all for today's talk, and I hope this helps. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much, Kane. So, if you have any question, if you have any suggestions, so you can ask Mr. Kane, I'll help you with translation. Тобто, якщо маєте якісь запитання, маєте якісь пропозиції, коментарі, будь ласочка, я допоможу з перекладом, якщо це потрібно. Поки, можливо, збираються щось запитати наших слухачів. В мене є список, коли реєструвалися, також залишали запитання слухачі, тому я зараз зачитаю. Можливо, я не буду читати ті питання, на яких уже зупинялися окремо, але тим не менше. Тобто, during the registration, in our registration form, we have the also the tab for question, and I read the question that leave our participants. So there is why the article or proceeding in Scopus most valuable than another one?
So if I answer correctly, the question is how we can say one article or proceeding is more valuable than the other ones. Am I correct?
Yes, but why the article or proceeding in Scopus more valuable than the regular proceedings?
Okay, yeah, I understand that. So for this, I think I would point you to the CSAB subject here. So we have external independent board members to do review. They review the proceedings and the conference papers based on the selection criteria, and because of their expertise, they are fully understand. They can make a judgment about the content quality, the impact, academic impact of conference proceedings, and but based on that, what they selected for coverage in Scopus is something we consider a trusted content, a reputed content, which is highly sought by our users, mainly from the academia and the corporate. And so I would say the rigid selection process is the reason why we trust, we would say the content selected for Scopus is more trustable.
Okay, many thanks. And the next one, it's about not about the proceeding, Scopus proceeding, but about the journal in Scopus. So how it could be predictable, or in which way we could predict that some journal will not reject from Scopus, but lost the quartiles.
So all the publication, including journals and proceedings, to be covered in Scopus, they need to go through the titles evaluation process. And we actually have a readyforscopus.com website, which help the publisher to check if this meets the technical criteria to be evaluated by CSAB members. So basically, we have the website for you to check if this meets the minimum technical criteria, and so that you can increase the possibility for the title to be selected for coverage in Scopus. But in the meanwhile, ultimately, it's the CSAB subject chairs to make a decision. So it's really not something predictable from our side to say if this journal or proceeding will be selected. The only thing I can recommend is please make sure that the content you published meets the selection criteria and of high quality. If you can show the impact of the research papers published in either journal or proceedings, that will increase the possibility for the journal or proceeding to be selected for coverage in Scopus.
Thank you. And one more question. So there is a difference between to organize a conference and apply to Scopus and with ourselves, or in cooperation with publisher. For instance, to organize or arrange the conference with Springer or maybe Elsevier, I don't know, some publisher, some like that, and after that apply to Scopus. So there is a difference between without cooperation and with cooperation with publisher.
So selection-wise, there is actually no difference if it is organized and published by the organizer or published in collaboration with the external publishers. You may see that some conference proceedings published in collaboration with the external publisher like Springer or other professional publishers. They are more likely to be selected. That's not because of the content quality. Rather, it's more about the format, like the presence of DOI, if the ISBN, ISSN is available. These makes much have a bigger impact. So as long as the publication format meets our technical criteria, then it doesn't really make any difference between published, organized, and published by the conference organizer or published in collaboration with the external publishers. I'm aware that Springer and Wiley, they work closely with the society to make publications. But when we see the suggestions and transfer those to the CSAB member to evaluate, they don't really look into who are publishing those. Rather, it's what is being published.
Yeah, so the main is the quality of the materials, and it's the main principle of selection. Yeah,
correct.
Yeah, and in your presentation, you mentioned that the most publication or the conference application of the conference is from China and USA. So it's if geographical factors influence on the application process, or is just it's not coincidence, but many of application from this state, or there is some issues with geographical factors.
Yeah, this is actually one of the criteria. We have a requirement regarding the conference policy, and one of the requirement is broad geographic distribution of technical and program committees, and we also require broad geographic distribution of authors. That is to say, we do look into the geographic diversity or broadness of the authors and the program organizers, because we want to make sure that the content indexing has a broad impact. It's not about one specific organization or one specific institution. Rather, we want to have a conference that have an impact in the general area, even if it's ideally it's international. But if it's a domestic national conference, then we will look into whether these authors or committee members are from different organizations, different institutes, because we want to make sure that this is something have a broader impact. So if you are saying that if you ask geographic distribution, whether this is a factor that will get considered by the CSAV members, and the answer is yes, this is.
I see. Thank you. Можливо, у когось ще є питання, можливо, потрібно прокоментувати, чи поки не потрібно. В будь-якому випадку, якщо питання виникнуть, якщо можна, зараз я спробую в груповий чат написати електроночку, тоді електронну адресу. Упс.
У когось є питання,
Да.
Софія?
Да, будь ласка.
Єгор, вроді.
Yes, hello, my name is Igor Belyan. I'm a Ukrainian historian. I work as an associate professor at Lugansk National Tarashenko University, so I do have some experience in sending the abstracts in order to attend international conferences about history, but I've got rejection, so I do have a question to you. So what are the opportunities for Ukrainian scholars to be more present in these Scopus-related conferences? Because we do have, this Russia factor, when Russian scholars, they can also send some conference abstracts about, Ukrainian history or Eastern European history. And you've been telling us about this, geographical factor, but right now we do have an urgent need to have more Ukrainian studies from global perspective. Thank you.
So to answer that question, I want to clarify that the geographic distribution is not necessarily across the other countries, the internationality. Like in your case, your focus is Ukrainian history. So naturally, for that kind of conference, the attendees and the program committees will be mostly from Ukraine. And in that case, I would suggest to have attendees from different organizations or institutions, because that also reflects the broadness of the geographical distribution, not from one single organization, not from one single society or say the university. And for that country itself is not a main criteria for selection. We are not selecting content because you are from this country or that country. Rather, by saying we, the CSMAB members and the internal teams, they all look into the publication quality and the content quality. And if you think the currently Scopus doesn't cover enough content from your subject domain, I would suggest to make more suggestions about the key publication from your area. as Sophia mentioned, the conference, there are many are from China or US. That's not because Scopus has a preference, has a preference again about US or China. That's simply because they are very actively publishing many papers, many publications, and making proactive suggestions to us. So they have the quantity is big. So the likely, so as a result, the selected content will be more than the others. We can say from statistically, we do see that a lot of suggestions, title suggestions, come from US or China, and that I think this makes sense because they have a huge population of researchers, and there are publishers focusing on that. So to answer your question, I think if you can organize more high quality conference and publish conference proceedings, and please do make suggestion to us so that the CSAB members can see the content and make a judgment based on your content quality.
Thank you for your answer. We have the question from Volodymyr. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. My name is Volodymyr. I am Vice Dean of Electrical Power Engineering Department of Igor Sikorsky University. We have annual conference of students and aspirants, young scientists on our faculty. And this year it will be 19th conference. So we have annually we have a book of proceedings of the conference. So my question is, what is the roadmap to be our conference, our proceedings of our conference, indexing in Scopus?
I think the first step is to have your proceeding suggested via our title suggestion form. This will be everything starts from here. Without receiving the suggestions, it is impossible for us to do validation. It is impossible for the CSAB member to review and make judgment. So as long as this is suggested, this will be validated and handled to the CSAB subject chairs. And once it is accepted, the content will be processed and appear in Scopus. The workflow is quite simple. So everything starts from title suggestion. So if you haven't done already, please make a suggestion to that.
Thank you for your answer.
Thank you.
Дякую. Thank you very much. В кого ще є запитання? I have one more small question. Maybe there is some strict requirement regarding the quantity of page or maybe the text, because there is proceeding materials with one page of one page text. There is proceeding materials with 20 pages. So there is some strict some strict rules about the quantity. Quality, we understand. What about the quantity?
So quantity, regarding the number of pages, so short pages, what do you describe, the one-page paper or the two-page paper? These are considered as short papers without the full text, main text. And those are out of scope for Scopus title selection, because we only consider full text papers. It's typically more than 4 pages or 6 pages. Ideally, some subject chair did mention that they want to see more pages. But the short answer is page number wise, the short paper, the abstract paper, and say the 2 page are out of scope. They will not be considered for coverage in Scopus. And regarding the quantity of how many papers to appear in one proceeding, there are actually no limitation according to the content selection criteria, where there is no specification of how many at max how many papers can be published in one proceeding. So I cannot say any limitation how many what's the maximum number of papers, conference papers included in one publication. But I would recommend that this if you focus on the quality of content, then the number of papers selected for publication in the conference proceeding won't be too many.
Yeah, understood. Thank you very much. So we have the question, more question?
I think I see one comment in the chat box about collaboration, and for that collaboration, I'm afraid we cannot say anything because Scopus is abstract citation in the database. We select so the database select the content for coverage. So we don't offer we don't collaborate with the external party to organize any conference event or make any support. So I hope this will clarify our stance.
Thank you for clarification. Окей, so, так, якщо питань немає, тоді я написала поштову скриньку, можете туди задавати, якщо вони з'являться, або щодо цього семінару, або щодо, можливо, пропозицій інших. So, Mr. Kane is very thankful for your time and consideration. If you have any further question, so if you agree, I will transmit you this question. I leave my, not mine, but official email of data steward of the Kyiv Polytechnic University. So after this conference, after this webinar, we encourage to leave some proposition or question for this email. So many thanks for your time one more time. It's really very valuable for us, and hope see you soon in another meeting or another event.
Thank you very much.
Дякую дуже усім, що прийшли. Дійсно, дякую за запитання усім. Сподіваюся, цей семінар, вебінар буде корисним для слухачів. Усім гарного вечора.
Дякую.
Дякую, до побачення.